So, as I said, my name is Julia Kline, and I am a sales blockage remover. And the reason that I tell you that is because you are here for a training about how to get more clients and leads. And I assume from that that means that you are not closing enough sales. In other words, you have sales blockages. Something is blocking you from getting all the sales that you need. And if that's the case, if that's a correct assumption about you, then you are in the right place. You've landed in the right place. We're going to help you with that tonight, clearing those sales blockages. And let's see here, I've got my notes in the wrong order. As you may know, I am the author of an Amazon best-selling book that's called The Entrepreneur's Guide to Sleaze-Free Selling. So what that means is I am very good at the tactical skills involved in salesmanship. And I'm very good at teaching salesmanship as well. But salesmanship is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what is necessary in order to be more successful with sales. It turns out that what's underneath the surface of sleaze-free selling is actually profound emotional, karmic, spiritual blockages to selling. And it's those things that we need to get at if we're going to help you to get better at this skill of selling. So some of the blockages that you might be experiencing look something like, I hate selling, or I don't want to be pushy, or I just want people to like me, or I wish I didn't have to sell at all. I just want to show up and do my work and have that be enough. Unfortunately, we know that those are all not very realistic, right? Some sales is required in order to grow your business and create the kind of results in the world that you are looking to create. And so the good news is that when we clear those sales blockages, whatever it is that's kind of making you cringe, it gets easier. You no longer hate selling, at least not as much. And you no longer have this tremendous fear about closing. And your results begin to get a little bit better. You start to sell a little bit more. You start making a little bit more money and making a bigger impact in the world. Does that sound good? Do those sound like the kinds of things that you are hoping to get? Does clearing your sales blockages sound like the right thing for you, for where you're at? If so, fantastic. We're still in the right place with you. So, what I have discovered in my path as a social media, as a sales and marketing coach, and as an energy healer, what I find is that there are three broad categories of sales blockages. The first broad category is practical and tactical in nature. In other words, you're not selling because you don't know how. You don't have the basic skills that is required to do effective sales. And in that case, what you need is some knowledge, some education, some wisdom about how to close sales, how to do that sales process. The second category of sales blockages that I come across is far more esoteric in nature. And this is those resistances that you experience. You resist sales, you perhaps resist success, or you even resist money, as kind of paradoxical as that may sound to some people. And if you have these kinds of resistances, you probably are aware of them on an emotional level. You have you kind of know that, yeah, I hate selling, or yeah, I don't have a wonderful tape running in my head about money. However, while there is an emotional and intellectual component to these blockages, it's not the end of the story. And more significantly, that's not how you fix it. The fix can be an emotional, an energetic, transformational rewiring to just sizzle those blockages so that you have different experiences and beliefs around sales, success, money, etc., etc. Okay? And by the way, I see Jen has made a comment that she's here. Thank you. Nice to see you. I appreciate you joining our training this evening. Is that what I wanted to say about that? Yes, so that second category of sales blockages, those more esoteric ones, the ones that are about resistance to sales, selling, money, success, all of that, can be reversed with transformational energy work, the kind of work that I do. The third category of sales blockages stems from the idea that you're not really believing in what you sell. And in this category incorporates both of the first two, or there's elements. There are practical and tactical aspects or solutions when the problem is that you're not really believing in what you sell. And there can also be these more esoteric blockages, self-limiting belief patterns if the problem is that you're not really believing in what you sell. Now, I know that you might be thinking to yourself right now, well, I believe in what I sell. That's not my problem. Let me give you an example so that we can fully awaken you to what I'm talking about here. Because this third category, this not really believing in what you sell, and more specifically, not really believing in the transformation that you can create in people. This is really the most fundamental blockage. When we fix this one, all the others kind of fall into place for the most part. So let me give you an example. Let's imagine that you're a florist, and sales are not good. Business is not great. And so you sit in your florist shop all day long, the little bell over the door doesn't ring, and you think to yourself, sales sucks, flowers suck, I suck. What a terrible idea this was to go into the florist business, right? You're not believing in what you sell. You're not believing in flowers. You're thinking people don't like flowers anymore. Nobody buys flowers anymore. Or maybe you make up other stories like nobody has the money for flowers these days. Nobody has, the economy is tough, so nobody has the expendable income for flowers anymore, right? So you may be making up these stories. So you don't believe in what you sell. You don't believe in the transformational power of what you sell. You don't believe in the way that what you sell provides an extremely valuable, even necessary service or solution to your customers. So let's slightly alter this florist situation. Imagine now that instead of just any old florist, you're a florist who set up shop next door to a bridal consultant. And this bridal consultant thinks you're great and sends all of her brides over to your store. What is the experience of this florist? Business is great! I love being a florist. Everybody under the sun needs flowers. Business is booming. The cash register is singing. I love flowers. I love, people love flowers. Flowers are the essence of a fantastic wedding. How clever it was of me to get into the florist business. Very different experience, right? And what changed? Now, you can say that, well, sure, you're in a different location. You're sitting next to a bridal place. They're sending you all kinds of leads. Okay, sure, that's true. You could also say that, well, what changes your customer? All of a sudden, now you're selling it to brides. And wow, yes, of course, brides and grooms, to a lesser extent, need flowers. So of course, totally different business, not even comparable, Julia. What are you even talking about? Well, how many of you are making this mistake? How many of you are the first florist who just set up, because in the first example, did I say anything about who the florist is selling to, or where they're located, or anything at all about them? No. But most business owners that I encounter are like that florist. They just decided, I'm good at this thing, this is the thing that I know how to do, so I'm going to just hang out my shingle and hope for the best. And most business owners have the results that this florist had. The cash, unless you just, for some reason, lucked into tremendous amount of abundance and sales and so on and so forth, if you don't have a plan as to who you're selling to and why, you're most likely going to sit there with no sales all day long every day. Whereas if you have a plan of who you're going to sell to, you decide, I'm going to sell to brides for weddings. Now all of a sudden, that makes sales so much easier. And this is what we're going to spend the majority of this training today talking about. This transition from not having any idea at all who it is that you're actually selling to, and more specifically, not having any idea at all what problem you solve. Because let's look at it this way. The florist who's having this great business selling to brides and weddings, if all that they ever said about themselves was, they stand up at their networking meeting, let's say, and they say, I'm a florist and I provide floral arrangements for weddings and other events. Now all they are is one out of dozens of entries in the yellow pages, right? If you open the old-fashioned yellow pages, if you go online and look at the online yellow pages, there's no shortage of florists who specialize in weddings. But let's imagine, and this is a pre-taste, a precursor to what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to help you to go through this. Let's imagine this florist said instead, I want to read this exactly out of my notes here. Hi, I'm a florist. I provide floral arrangements for weddings and other occasions that speak what's in your heart by tapping into the secret language of flowers. Wow, all of a sudden, that's pretty juicy and tantalizing, right? And now, there's a bunch of assumptions in here. And the number one assumption is that this florist has a specialty, what's very unique and special about them, the reason why this florist really does provide a unique service, a unique solution for brides or for people who are planning other kinds of events that need flowers, is because they are well-versed in the language of flowers. This whole idea that, yellow means I'm sorry, red means love, blue means fertility, or whatever. I don't speak the language of flowers, so I don't know for sure. Or that chrysanthemums mean this, whereas narcissus means that, whatever. And so, this florist being well-versed in the language of flowers is actually able to, provide something juicy and special. Like she can say, well, actually at your wedding, well, of course you want your bouquet to be filled with love and honor and commitment and fertility, whatever it is that you want. Or if you don't want kids, no fertility in the bride's bouquet. But let's say, for example, that you have a different, unique kind of relationship with the mother-in-law, and you kind of want to send her a little zinger just because, weddings are a time that people get like that, right? And so the florist shows you a way to, just in a very secret way that only you and the florist are going to know, dig at the mother-in-law. Like, you need forgiveness or whatever, right? That could be really juicy and interesting and be a big reason why somebody would choose this florist, our hypothetical florist, rather than any one of the other florists that are in the phone book. So this is what we're going to go through some exercises today that are going to take you through this process so that you can understand how to extract the essential uniqueness of yourself in such a way that you can now present that to your customers in a way that you become irresistible. And not just irresistible, but uniquely irresistible. Nobody else will do besides you. And the way that we're going to do this is that we are going to talk about the problem that you solve for your customer. Now I know, as soon as I say that, you think to yourself, the problem that I solve for my customer? Come on, Julia, that's like marketing 101. I learned about that years ago. I know what problem I solve for my customer. I don't need to sit and listen to you on a webinar about what problem I solve for my customer. I know you think that, and I'm going to tell you, based upon my experience working one-on-one with entrepreneurs for a decade, that every entrepreneur thinks that they know what problem they solve for their customer, but almost nobody actually knows what problem they solve for their customer. And more specifically, if you do know what problem it is that you solve for your customer, you are not accurately articulating it. How do I know this? Because if you were, you'd be selling like gangbusters, and you wouldn't be here. So I promise you this, that sales is nothing more than accurately and convincingly describing exactly how you solve a problem that your customer is suffering from. When you accurately and convincingly describe a problem that your customer is suffering from, nothing stops them from buying from you. So if people are not stumbling over themselves to buy from you, it's because you are not accurately and convincingly describing how you solve a problem that your customer is suffering from. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get you so that you are doing that. And out of the gate, starting tomorrow, you're going to start having a whole lot better results with your sales conversations than you have been having up until now. I was just going to insert something and it flew out of my brain. Shoot, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to insert something, but so let me get back on track here. So the distinction that I need, the reason that you may think that you are solving your customer's problem, and I'm telling you that you're not, is because your customer actually has 3 problems. And some of you, if you've ever heard me speak before, you may have heard me talk about how your customer actually has 2 problems. But I have revised my thinking on this and made it more precise. Your customer actually has 3 problems. Okay? And these are writer-downers. You want to write all these down. The first problem that your customer has is the problem that he or she knows she has. It is the conscious problem. It is the thing that she is complaining about actively when she's talking to her sister on the phone, or when she's having cocktails with the girls after work, or if she's typing into Google looking for a solution. It's the thing that is the active, persistent problem that she knows about. She's having a headache. She can't sleep because of pain. She doesn't know how to get more customers and leads. You know, whatever. It's the active problem that your customer is having. The second problem that your customer is having is the problem that you, the expert, understand is the real problem. Or, put differently, it is what you understand is the root cause of her problem. So, if your customer is saying, I have a headache, you might be thinking to yourself, well, is that a headache because of stress? Is that a headache because of nutrition? Is it a headache because of lack of sleep? Is it a headache because of some kind of physical ailment, God forbid? And so you, as the expert, understand that there's a whole lot else going on below the surface, and this is what you need to educate your customer on. So let me back up. The first problem is what you need to talk about when you're first meeting your client, when you're doing lead generation, when you are first engaging them in a networking event, when you are sending out an email, when you are writing a flyer. Whatever it is, it's your lead generation, your initial contact with your prospective customer. You have to talk about the problem that he or she knows she has. You have to meet them where they're at. The second problem, which is the problem that you, the expert, know is the real problem or the underlying cause of the problem, that is what you need to educate your customer around. So once you get them on the telephone, once they stop into your store, once they click through, if you're doing online marketing, once they click through your opt-in and now they're reading your sales page, for example, you need to educate them about the stuff that they don't know about. Or if you're doing a webinar, right? The great example here. I started with where you're at. I don't have enough customers and leads. Great, I'm going to teach you how to get more customers and leads. I met you where you're at with the sales copy. And now what we're doing here in this webinar is I, the expert, understand what's really going on, and I am educating you about what's really going on in order to get you on board with what I understand is the problem. because of course I'm going to offer you a solution, right? Some of the solution we're going to get here in the webinar, and some of the solution is going to be something that that I have to offer you as if you want to get more from me after this hour is up. I'm going to give you a chance to do that, as you are doing when you're talking to your customers, right? So the second problem is the one that your customer, that you, the expert, understand is the real problem. And it's the thing that you need to educate your customers about when you have them for a little bit more time. When they're sitting in your office, when you've got them on the phone, when they're reading your sales copy, when they're reading your brochure, whatever. You've got a little bit more of them. You're going to educate them so that they can begin to understand the true nature of their problem, and that is the thing that you're going to solve. Okay? The third problem that your customer has is the unspoken problem. It is the emotional problem. It is the pain. It is the reason that this problem is a problem. So let's take this webinar as an example. The surface level problem is I don't have enough customers and leads. Where do I go to get more customers? I got to get more leads in my pipeline, right? So that's what we talked about in the sales copy, because that was where you're at. Here in the webinar, we're talking about the second problem, which is what I understand is the real problem. So I'm educating you about that. The third problem, the underlying problem, the pain in the problem, is the so what. And this is and in this case, the so what is I don't know where to get more customers and leads. I'm not selling enough. Those are the surface level problems. So maybe I won't be able to pay my bills next month. It's a big problem. It's a big pain. I'm not getting enough customers and leads. Maybe people don't want what I have to sell. Maybe I'm not any good at what I do. Maybe my business isn't going to make it. These are deeper underlying problems. Maybe I'm standing in my own way and I don't know what to do, and I'm just so frustrated. I've tried everything and I don't know what to do, and I'm about to give up the towel. I'm about to throw in the towel. These are more underlying problems, right? And so we're going to now, I want to give you a chance to work on this and to ask me for feedback. So I see that there's several of you who are watching this video. What I invite you to do is to find the comments. The comments are to the, over here, this side. I guess it's to the right of the video. And I'm pointing to my left, but it's to the right of the video. There is a place you can type in a comment. And so if you type in a comment, let me know who you are. And also, as I give you these exercises, you can type in your answers to those exercises, and I'll give you feedback on what's going on for you with these. So the first thing that I want you to write down on your paper is, what is your customer's surface level problem? What is the thing that your customer is complaining about? What is the thing that they are, saying to their girlfriend or their husband, or to the ladies at, at cocktail hour about, oh my God, I'm so frustrated because blah, blah, blah. Or it's a thing that they're typing into Google to look for a solution to. So write that out. What is the thing that your customers are suffering from, the surface level problem? And after you're done writing that out, if you'd like my feedback on what, well, actually, let's hold it until the end, because it's more valuable when we do all three at once. So we'll do all three at once. So I'll give you a moment to type that out. What is your customer's surface level problem? Okay. The second question is, what is the real problem? What is the thing that you, the expert, understand is the cause or the real problem? Go ahead and write that out. What is it that you, the expert, understand is the real problem or the cause of this surface level problem? It's the thing that your customer doesn't know about yet, and which they only learn about as you educate them, as you explain it to them. Another way of getting at this second question is to ask yourself the question, why am I the best solution to my customer's problem? This is particularly the case if you're like what we call a commodity business, where you're a realtor or you're a florist or you're an acupuncturist, right? There's a bunch of you out there, and your customer could go through the yellow pages or could do a Google search and find a bunch of people who on the surface are just like you. And so the question is, why should they pick you? In what circumstances or for what kind of customer are you, in fact, the best solution? And it's inherent in that is the why, right? Is the understanding about the true nature of their problem. Presumably, the true nature of their problem, once they understand the true nature of their problem, will lead them to the inevitable conclusion that you are the only person that's ideally suited to solve what really is their problem because of the specific nature of their problem. Hi, Lisa. I see you're on here too. That's great. The video doesn't work on your computer, but you can leave comments? That's weird. Okay. Actually, Lisa, if you could, can you send Rosie a detailed email when you get a chance? You probably can't do it tonight, explaining what exactly you're experiencing so that we can add one more thing to the list of technical challenges that we help people with in the troubleshooting guide. Okay, the third problem is the emotion behind it. It's the pain. It's the, if your business is skincare, it's the woman who's looking in the mirror thinking to herself, these wrinkles, these bags, is this why he doesn't sleep with me anymore? Right? It's that inside, or it's the, oh, is this why I'm not getting a job? Or it's the, oh my God, I can't stand the idea of going to my high school reunion looking the way I do. Or it's the, oh, I look awful, I'm old and haggard and have no energy, my life is ending, and that which turns into like a whole bad day, right? Several different possible emotional pain points. So I invite you to write down for you, what is the emotional pain point, the so what, the part of the problem that they're suffering with that they might not even be consciously aware of. They might not know. They might not be able to tell you or articulate, this is my real problem. But you, the expert, having worked with all kinds of people just like this person, you know what really is in their heart, what really is the problem. That's what you want to be writing down for the third answer. All right, so first, let me say, those of you who are done writing out your exercises for yourself, feel free to start typing in the comments. And what I'd like you to do is type in my problem number 1 is, and then type that, and then in a new comment, my problem number 2 is, and then in a new comment, my problem number 3 is. So I can very clearly see. Actually, scratch that. No, because in case you overlap each other, that'll be too hard. Put it all in one comment, but very clearly say, my problem number 1 is, my problem number 2 is, my problem number 3 is. So it's very clear to me what you're answering. And while you're doing that, and while the video is getting a chance to catch up with you doing that, Lisa, I'll call your attention to the fact that Jennifer has a technical solution for you that you could maybe give it a try to see if that would work for your phone problem. So, and while you guys are doing that, also, I didn't get myself a glass of water, and I'm parched. So I'm going to get a quick drink. I'll be back in 20 seconds. So I'm just waiting for comments to appear. I think that they appear automatically. I don't think I need to refresh my screen. So as you are, if you're wondering what's going on, Jen is asking us, for us personally, the problem. No, Jen, you're writing the answers to these questions that I've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about. So your customer's problem. What is the surface level problem that your customer is having? What is the secondary problem, which is what you, the expert, understand is the real problem or the cause. And then the third one is what is their pain, the problem of the problem. And so these are, when I said my problem number 1 is, what I meant was, within your business, the problem for your customer, 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm just pausing here, not adding any new. I'm assuming that you're all scribbling notes into the comments. So in order to get some feedback from me about your answers to these problems. And I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds. And if nothing shows up, then I'm going to assume that you're not doing that. And instead, what I'll do is I'll talk about how we answered these questions at a recent workshop that I did with somebody who was in the room. So I can at least illustrate the point, even if none of you who are here on the webinar want me to help you with your specific business. I hope you do, because that's a big part of the value of being here with me live, is to get my one-on-one laser feedback coaching. Like I said, I'll give it maybe about another 15 seconds, and if we don't see anything pop up, I will move on, and I'll tell you about somebody else who I saw who I was at in a research workshop of mine. Okay. So Jen, you posted the surface level problem for your customer is structural pain, hormone imbalance, or digestive disorder. Okay, so first of all, I would suggest that it's more useful if you pick one rather than having a whole bunch of them. The second one, what is the real problem, depends on their individual pattern based upon lifestyle, constitution, and environment. Okay, spoken like a true expert. Okay, and why you are the best solution to their problem. You integrate Eastern and Western medical thought to restore function to their body so it can heal itself. Okay. Okay, so you're on the right track, and I'm waiting for you to also post your the pain point. Like what is the real problem that they're having, the pain underneath the pain. And so I would say the surface level problem. Okay, so an important point about the surface level problem, I forgot to draw this point explicitly when I was describing it before, is that when you're talking about the surface level problem, it's really important that you use the words that your customer is using themselves. So, for example, I'm pretty sure, Jen, that when somebody calls you or comes into your office, they don't come in saying, "Hi, I'm suffering from structural pain," right? That is a phrase that you use. So we want to back up from that, and we want to think about, what does your customer actually say? What are they suffering from? What are their words of what they suffer from? And same thing with hormone imbalance. I mean, unless they've already been to some other expert that has put the idea in their head that your hormones are out of whack, but even in that case, they are going to say, my hormones are out of whack. They're probably not going to say to you, I'm suffering from hormone imbalance, right? That's your term. You need to use their term. So think back to the last 2, 3, 4, 5 customers that you've worked with and ask yourself, what did they actually say? What were their actual words that they used to describe the problem that they're having? And the third one, you said digestive disorder. Again, same thing. Nobody's going to come in saying, I'm suffering from digestive disorder. What they're going to say is, I'm bloated. Or they might have more descriptive ways of sharing with you exactly what's going on with their digestive system, right? So here, let me back up here because I see a lot of you are now posting, which is awesome. So let me back up in the comments so I can read this. Okay, so Jen, I think you're responding to some of my comments, and you're saying that they come in complaining of knee, back, and foot pain. Great. That's a great place to start. So the surface level problem is my knees hurt, right? My back hurts. My feet hurt. That's the problem. And if you think about what are they typing into Google, how do I stop my feet from hurting? Or what's the cure for foot pain, right? So that's the surface level problem. And so when you're, so the point here, the reason why this is valuable, why it's helpful for you in getting more clients and leads, is that when you are initially meeting somebody, meaning that it's in sales copy that you're writing for any modality, or if you're at a networking event and you're describing what you do, you want to talk about what you do in terms of knee pain, back pain, foot pain, because that's where they're at. That's their surface level problem. And so, okay, so now let's move on to the second one, where you said, why are you the best person to solve their problem? So this gets into the piece where you, the expert, understand what's really going on and what you need to educate them about. Because, again, let's say, so if you are in a networking situation, let's say, and somebody says, so what do you do? And you say, what do you call an acupuncturist? Is that vaguely what you call yourself? Or an energy practitioner? I don't know what the general term would be. You'd say, okay, so let's just say I'm an acupuncturist, and what I do is I cure people of their knee pain, back pain, and foot pain. And so that statement all on its own is like, okay, well, great. So does everybody else in the phone book. They all say that they're going to cure my pain. What makes you different? Because remember, as I said at the very beginning, the secret to sales is to accurately and convincingly describe how it is that you solve a problem that they have. So when you say, I get rid of foot pain, okay, so that's a problem they have. So you're accurately describing how you're going to solve it, or not how you're going to solve it. You're actually accurately describing that it will be solved, right? And what you're saying about yourself is that you integrate Eastern and Western medical thought to restore function to the body so that it can heal itself. Okay, so let's break this apart. You integrate Eastern and Western medical thought. That's a very good phrase. That's really good to use. That's really juicy because it's easy enough to wrap the brain around, and it's a little bit unique. There's people out there who are that's very appealing, that you take both Eastern and Western medical thought and you integrate them to restore function to the body. That is medical jargon. That's healer jargon. You don't want to say that because again, in this initial setting here, right? Because that is you becoming technical and getting all up in your head with your expert stuff. So instead, you integrate Eastern and Western medical thought to address what's really going on in the body, to provide a more comprehensive set of solutions than either Eastern medicine or Western medicine could provide by themselves. That's really good, by the way. And FYI, for everybody who's watching, when I close my eyes, you know that I am now channeling. So what I do is I get rid of your what I do is I get rid of pain in the physical body, back pain, foot pain, knee pain. And I do that by integrating Eastern and Western medical thought. So because that provides a more comprehensive set of solutions than either Eastern or Western all by itself could provide. And I think that wasn't quite as good. Hopefully you're taking notes. The first version I said it was better. To their body so it can heal itself. Great. I like that. So what we want to add in here is something like, and this is where we get into the education part. What they don't understand, that you, the expert, understand, is that the body is an amazing organism and it's designed to heal itself. So what is required is to set up the conditions necessary to allow the body to heal itself and to provide support to the body in different kinds of ways, depending on exactly what's going on, so that the body can heal itself, so that it can get back into proper functional alignment. And again, be careful of using that phrase, functional alignment. That gets kind of jargony. But I'm liking these things that are coming up here. And let me know if you agree that this is juicy, good way of describing what it is that you do. But I think an excellent thing for you is to focus on this idea that the body is designed to heal itself. And when the body is not successfully healing itself, when pain or dysfunction or disease is going on in the body, it's because the body's natural healing mechanisms are blocked or thwarted or out of balance or something, right? And so what you do is you tap into both Eastern and Western medical thought to diagnose where those misalignments are, to diagnose where the body's natural healing flow of energy is disrupted. Where is there a blockage? Using medical, Eastern and Western medical thought to diagnose that issue, and then to provide a solution, a treatment, a cure, a fix, to support the body, to provide what the body needs in order to get back into that flow of healthy energy so that the body can restore itself. I think that that is a pretty good description of what you do. And let me know if you agree. And then, actually, let's move on, because I see that Lisa's been making comments as well. So let's talk about Lisa's issues here. Your problem number one is, the customer's complaint is, I've tried every diet, and I either can't lose weight or the diet works, but I gain the weight right back and then some. Great. I love that, because that's obviously something that every overweight person says. I've tried every diet under the sun, I can't lose weight, or it works and I gain the weight right back again and then some. Exactly. That's exactly what they're saying in their heads, what they're complaining about to their doctor or to their girlfriends or whatever. So that's great. The second one, you're saying the root cause. There's so much nutrition confusion and unclear messages about nutrition and weight loss through the media and the government. So what you're saying is that what you're going to educate them about is the nutrition confusion and the unclear messages about nutrition and weight loss through media and the government. Okay. And so, but that doesn't answer our question, though, of what makes you the best solution to their problem. And in your case, Lisa, and this is where we're a little bit at a disadvantage because of the fact that of this communication mechanism here, because you're typing and I'm speaking. I wish that if we were talking to each other in a conversation, this could be more beneficial for you, because most likely the essence of what makes you the best solution for their particular problem lies within your own story. So it's probably, you probably have had struggles with your weight yourself, and you probably have a particular story about a particular kind of confusion or misinformation that you are suffering from for a long time. Also, the fact of how you said it, you said unclear message about nutrition weight loss through the media and the government. The fact that you threw that piece in there and the government leads me to believe that there is a bit of an edge to your beliefs about weight loss and nutrition, and that there's a, I won't call it conspiracy theory or the ban or any of those things, but it sounds from what you said like there's a little bit of that, like, which I share, by the way, that down with the FDA. And if that's the case, then it's in your best interest to turn up the volume on that. Because while some people are going to look at you and say, what are you talking about criticizing the FDA? That's a federal agency, for God's sakes. They must know what they're talking about. Like, right? Okay, they're not your customer. Assuming, like I said, that you do have some of these beliefs like, don't listen to anything that the government has to say because all they're trying to do is to pimp pharmaceuticals, which is my belief, personally, around all these things. So if that's the case, I would turn up the volume on that. And what then the additional work that needs to be done here is to extract what is it in your personal story or about your personality or about the path that you've gone down that makes, and not just, because I believe also that you represent, and I don't know which company, but you represent a network marketing company, right? So there's a product line that you sell. And so so what we need to convince your customer of is not just that your product line is like that your product is better than whatever other product. You know, they don't want to do Slim Fast. They don't want to do Lean Cuisine. They don't want to do Jenny Craig. They want to do your product. But also, to a certain extent, that they want to buy it from you, not from anybody else. Now, depending on how saturated your market is, your potential customer might or might not have ever encountered somebody who sells exactly what you sell. I do a lot of training for a lot of network marketing companies, and for some companies, like Mary Kay, like Arbonne, like, for a while, Pampered Chef was one of the big ones. A lot of people know several people who sell those product lines. And so it's not just convincing them that they should buy Mary Kay rather than Revlon, it's convincing them that I should be your Mary Kay consultant. So to the extent that that is also true, what we need to extract is why you, not just your product and your particular solution, but why you. What makes you the best person to help them along down this journey? And that's the clue to that is probably in your personal story. Let's look at what you said for number 3. Why should they come? Oh, okay, so you did answer it. You've been there, done that myself, and my products work for everyone, and I give them personal service and one-on-one support through the entire process. Okay, I give them personal support and one-on-one support, or I give them personal service and one-on-one support. So does everybody, or at least everybody says so. So that is not a reason that they would buy from you rather than anybody else. Also, when you say my products work for everyone, that is on the surface unbelievable, right? Nothing works for everyone. So what you need, and I'll give you an example. Um, Yesterday, I was at a luncheon. As you can tell from looking at me, I'm a little bit overweight myself, okay? And I have started Weight Watchers recently, again, so I'm counting points. So I was at a luncheon yesterday, and one of the women who was there is a nutrition and weight loss expert. And as I was counting out my points for the luncheon, I'd had a few bites of the key lime pie that was there. So I was trying to figure out what the points were. And so I said to her, hey, you're a nutrition expert. What do you think? What's your estimate of how many calories are in this key lime pie? And she said to me, basically, I don't know how many calories are in your key lime pie because I ignore the whole thing about calories and weight loss, or calories as a mechanism for weight loss. So I'm going to send you my link to my stuff about my nutrition and exercise stuff because it'll work for you. And I was like, don't need that because and by the way, she didn't ask me any questions about, I mean, all she knew about me was that I was counting Weight Watchers points. That's all that she knew. And what's true about me is that, number one, Weight Watchers is currently working great for me. I'm losing 2 pounds a week. Number two, I love Weight Watchers because I am somebody who loves keeping track of every single morsel that I eat. That works really well for my personality. The people who hate Weight Watchers are the people that hate counting everything they eat. And her system is a shake. You know, it's like you eat 2 shakes a day and 1 normal meal a day. Well, that's the same thing you do on Slim Fast. It's the same thing you do with isogenics. That's the same thing you do with any other shake-based diet program out there. And so she said to me, you know, this is so easy. It works for everybody because you only have to count to 2. And I felt like saying to her, that's a disadvantage for me, not an advantage. I like the fact that I get to, you know, keep track of all the food that I eat. And besides that, on top of all that, not only is Weight Watchers working for me right now, but in a lifetime of being slightly overweight and having my weight go up and then go down and, you know, be slender for a while, but then have it creep back up again and got to lose weight again, Weight Watchers always works for me, and nothing else does. I've tried all the shake programs. Those don't work for me. Counting points, doing Weight Watchers always works. So I am a terrible customer for her for all the reasons I just said. Same thing is true for your potential customers, Lisa. The people who are, when you say your product works for everyone, that's not true. It won't work for everyone, right? There are certain conditions that have to be present. Number one, like what if they are, you know, a food addict and they binge at night? Definitely not going to work in that case. You can say, well, but then they're not following the program. Okay, but that is an important point to point out here, right? Or maybe is there some element to your diet, your program, your system that specifically helps people in the area of binging? You know, what are the specific things about your program that make it specifically better than other programs given a certain set of problems? You know, does the product taste better? Are there more flavors to choose from? Is it less expensive? Does it come with local meetings that they can attend? Is there online tracking tools that they can tap into? And what are the, and not knowing much about your business and your program, that's what you need to dive into, is what are those things that make it unique and different from everything else that's out there in order to be able to describe who does it actually, because it doesn't work for everyone. And more to the point, everyone won't like it. It appeals much more strongly to some people than to others. And your work is to precisely identify exactly who are the people that it appeals to and why, and talk about that using some of what I've described as an example. I hope that helps. Lisa said, no, I'm going to clarify how and what to eat. Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what you're, because I apologize, I was kind of in the zone, and I wasn't noticing exactly what your comments were in reference to, but I think that I've made the point. So, okay, and I noticed also that, gosh, it's already gotten to be 8 o'clock, and this is supposed to be a 1-hour thing, and Have we gotten to what I wanted to get you to? So, okay, so let me move into a little bit of a summary, and then also let you know, if you've loved this and want more, there are 2 ways that you can get more from what I have to offer. So let's go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, that there are, at the beginning, there's 3 categories of sales blockages. One is practical and tactical. The second one is the esoteric, resistance, blockages, not knowing what's up, whatever. And the third one is this not really believing in what you sell. Now, having gone through with both of you who I've now just been coaching for the last half hour, both of you really believe in what you sell, right? You think it's the cat's meow. What is missing is the crystal clear understanding of precisely who it is best for and why. Because when perhaps both of you have had this experience, when you really, really believe in what you're selling and you think it's great, and you go out there with passion and enthusiasm, and you talk to everybody about, you talk to every fat person about this weight loss thing, you talk to everybody who's limping about how you can fix their pain. Your passion and your enthusiasm is going to go a long way to, first of all, creating results for you in terms of sales, and also keeping you motivated, because you're passionate, you're enthusiastic. Woo, I'm going to tell everybody about this. But on those days or in those months when your passion and your enthusiasm is waning, and you're just kind of having a bad day, and you're thinking, ugh, this stuff sucks, it doesn't work, I'm no good, nobody wants to buy this stuff, nobody can afford this stuff, nobody's willing to do the work, nobody's willing to listen to me, whatever, you get negative. It no longer works in those moments or in that mindset to like splatter your message all over everybody. Or once you've been doing it for a few weeks, a few months, a few years, it no longer, like, you get tired, you get exhausted. Plus, if you're doing advertising, it gets very expensive to just kind of splatter your message all over everybody. Whereas when you do the work that we've dug into today, we've opened the cap on and dug into exactly who is the person that you completely can solve the problem for. Once you know that, that is a person that you can talk to and sell to hard, even on your worst day. Once you know exactly what the pieces of the puzzle need to be in order for somebody to have the problem that you solve, and for that, and who's willing to say yes to you solving it. And there always is a formula, a set of puzzle pieces that needs to come together in that perfect alignment in order to make the sale a done deal. Okay? When you identify that, now it just becomes a matter of saying it a lot. Well, saying it a lot to those types of people. Because that's the next piece of work that we don't have time to get into tonight, but it is, so how do you identify those people? So once you decide, okay, so the person that is best for my work has to be these 3 things, how do I know who those people are given a group? Whether it's, with any, because in order to know who those people in a networking situation, on an email list, within a direct mailing list, in order to share your message enthusiastically and persistently, and I'll use the word forcefully, you have to feel confident that the people that you're sharing it with are, in fact, these precise people who you can really, really help, right? Because if it's not, if you aren't confident that these precise people are ones who you can really, really help, you're going to feel spammy. You're going to feel like you're pushing, and all of your blockages are going to come up on you. But if you know for sure that you're talking to exactly the right people, then those internal resistances are going to kind of melt away. And you're going to say, I don't care if I don't like to close. This doesn't even feel like closing to me, because all I'm doing is helping them in a way that I really, really can help them with a huge problem that they really have. I'm looking at Lisa, you said, thank you, very helpful. Great, I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, so that's kind of our summary. I hope that it's been helpful. And I want to talk to you about the 2 additional ways that I have available for you tonight to get a little bit more from me. One of them, Lisa has already experienced. And so, Lisa, if you care to type any comments into the chat feed about it, that would be fantastic. But the first one is it's called Clear Your Money Blockages. And it is a 2-hour evening workshop that I do in exactly this kind of format. People do attend live, so there would be people here sitting with me, and also the online streaming. And this Clear Your Money Blockages event is part practical and is part energetic transmission. And the result of this Clear Your Money Blockages is that people receive unanticipated, unimaginable sums of cash out of the clear blue sky. And Lisa attended my last Clear Your Money Blockages event, which was on May 28th, just like 2 weeks ago, a little bit more than that. And she reached out to me to say that while she is doing additional things, it wasn't like it was only due to my workshop, her sales volume is double. And she shared with me that it certainly some of her success she attributes to having attended the workshop. And I'll tell you, somebody else who attended that very same workshop that Lisa attended just 2 weeks ago texted me 8 days after the workshop and told me that she had received a piece of junk mail from JP Morgan, which is an investment company, and that junk mail was addressed to her late husband. And so she called him up to say, stop sending me this junk mail. And the person on the phone said, ma'am, we only send that piece of mail to account holders. She said, I don't have any accounts with you. We closed them all. The estate's been settled. I have no accounts with you. Stop sending me junk mail. And the guy said, ma'am, you have an account with us. You are the beneficiary of this account, and it has $45,000 in it. And she said, as she typed it to me, she said, my heart is pounding as I tell you this. I have $45,000 now that I had no idea existed 8 days after your workshop. And I'll tell you something else. For any of you who are maybe a little bit skeptical, like, oh, that's just a coincidence. Listen to this. Out of the people who attended the workshop, 3 of them opened the first 2 homework assignments. The 3rd and 4th homework assignments, only 1 person opened the email. And that 1 person was Therese. So maybe it's another coincidence, but the 1 person who opened all her homework email, presumably did all her homework, is the very same 1 person that just by coincidence is now the proud owner of $45,000 she never knew she had. So this next, and Lisa, I see that you saying, yes, the Clear Your Money Blockages was wonderful, great tools and information. Loved it, have recommended it. That's awesome. Great, I appreciate that. The next Clear Your Money Blockages workshop is coming up on June 27th, and which is a Friday night. And I'm doing it live here in Chicago, in downtown Chicago this time. We're doing it at the Mid-America Club, which is the schwanky, private, members-only business club that I've recently joined. And so we're going to be doing it there. I figure it's a very supportive environment for the large amounts of wealth that we are now creating with this event. It's from 7 to 9 on that Friday, June 27th. The ticket price is $97, and there's a full money-back guarantee. If you do not manifest at least $97, your ticket price, within the first 3 weeks after the event, let me know, and I'll give you all your money back. Full money-back guarantee. So That's the first thing. The second thing that I'd like to talk about is my my weekly group coaching program that I offer. I trust that you have now experienced how valuable it can be for you to have direct one-on-one feedback from me about various aspects of your business. And the weekly group coaching program is your chance to get this every single week. Every week I get on the phone, and everybody who's on the call at this point, everybody who's on the call gets a chance to share with me some of what's up and get some individualized one-on-one feedback from me about their business. And the cost for that program for 3 months, and it's an ongoing, enroll whenever kind of a program, you get 3 months of membership for just $497. And you can also do 3 payments of $187, I think. And to enroll in that program, you can check out my website at intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group for group coaching program. That's intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group. And the Clear Your Money Blockages event, that is also on my website, but it's a long link. I didn't create a short little link. So if you're interested in enrolling in that event, you can go to intuitivebusinesswoman.com and then go up in the header, the navigation, and look for community events. And there's a event listed there for the Clear Your Money Blockages workshop in Chicago on June 27th. So with that, and I guess I'll make one final mention, which is also that I also do private consulting. And my private consulting is not cheap, but what you essentially get me as your business partner for 5 months. It's a structured consulting program. It's a 5-month program. And it is a $1,500 down payment just to get started. And then the overall investment is significantly more than that. And if you're interested in that, we can talk about the overall investment as well as more of the details about it on the telephone. And the way to begin the conversation with me about private consulting is to schedule a phone call with me. And the link to schedule a phone call is on that same sales page that I just gave you, intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group. And so on there's a link to schedule a phone call for a strategy session. If you think what you're interested in is to have me as your de facto business partner for the next 5 months, holding space for you and your business growth, and your personal and spiritual transformation over the next 5 months. And as I said, not the least expensive thing that you could possibly invest in, and it changes lives. A client who I worked with last year was at about $125,000. That was kind of her. That's kind of had been her business for the previous 3, 4, 5 years prior to us working together. This year, she's on track to exceed $250,000, and she's a coach. So the consulting that I do with people is extremely effective. If you'd like to know more about what I said, go onto that link, intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group. And on there, that's where you can register for the group coaching program, which is only $500 for 3 months. And you can see the link to schedule a phone call with me to discuss private consulting. So with all that said, we are just about time to wrap up this call today. And it's going to take a few minutes to have you know that I'm wrapping up the call. So I don't want to just like hang up on you unexpectedly here. So I want you to, I want the delay to catch up so that you know we're now saying goodbye. And if anybody has any final comments or questions or anything else you'd like to say or share, please go ahead and put those into the comments so I can reply to those here on the recording. And then we'll wrap it up as we are all in the same place of feeling and knowing that we are coming to an ending here, as opposed to me just, yanking the cord on our time together. And so as we're doing that, and as you are making any final questions or comments you'd like to make, I'll say thank you very much for sharing a portion of your evening with me. I trust that this has been helpful, enlightening, inspiring, thought-provoking, and that things change in your life and in your business as a result. And when that happens, when you do begin to see results and changes in your business as a result of some of the things we've talked about here tonight, please tell me. I love that. I love hearing success stories. So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can either come to my Facebook wall and just post on my wall and say, hey, Julia, thanks so much for that webinar the other night. I learned XYZ, and I've been implementing it, and these are my results. That's great. And that's on my Facebook wall, Julia Kline. Or you can also, if you'd like to say something privately, you can email my assistant, rosie@juliakline.com, to share with me your feedback or results or whatever, because I sure do like to hear that, like I said. So, all right, so it looks like we are, there's no final comments anybody like to make. I've been sort of riffing here for about a minute or two, and sometimes Google Hangout has even more of a delay than that, but and I see that Jen is, has heard my comments, so that the delay has caught up. You know that I'm now wrapping up the phone call, or this webinar, hangout, whatever we're calling it. And you're welcome, Jen. I'm glad that you joined the call tonight. I'll be very interested to hear for you in particular, since I know your business personally, how some of this tonight has helped you and worked out for you. So, with all that, again, thank you very much, and I will see you all again sometime in the near future. Good night.